The eCom Seller Summit was created to prove that with the right tools and training, anyone and everyone can make money in e-commerce. So many people want to try their hand at e-commerce, selling on eBay, Amazon, Shopify, and more, but they're afraid they won't be successful. This summit will show you that there's many ways to do e-commerce, and there are many platforms you can explore, because e-commerce really has no limits. It really can pay your bills, and e-commerce never sleeps. There's nothing like waking up to profits from getting sales all night long. My name is Nicole Whitlock, and this is the eCom Seller Summit.
Hello, and welcome to day 2 of the eCom Seller Summit. My name is Renata, and I'm so excited to be kicking off the second day of our amazing summit. I'm going to get started today. I don't want to tarry. We've got some amazing speakers that are going to be getting started a little later on. So I'm here to talk to you about how to successfully sell on Mercari. If you haven't gotten started yet, hopefully I'll give you a lot of good reasons why you should. And if you're already selling on Mercari, then hopefully I'll be able to share at least a few golden nuggets that will help you increase your sales and be successful on this new platform. See if I can get our slides going over here. So hopefully you can see my screen. Again, my name is Renata Darden. I'm going to be talking to you about selling on Mercari, whether you are currently selling on Mercari or not. Hopefully the information that I provide will be helpful to everyone. So a little bit about me. I am the co-founder of eCom Sellers, which is a company that's putting on this wonderful summit for you all. We are committed to providing the best in education when it comes to e-commerce. Why am I here talking to you? Why did we start eCom Sellers? Why is e-commerce education such an important thing to both me and my business partner, the amazing hostess, Nicole Whitlock? We've been selling for a long time. I actually started selling online in 2001, and I know it was before that. I got started on eBay, I know in the late 90s, but around 2001 is when I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing, and I knew that there was some money to be made. I had no idea that it was just the tip of the iceberg when I was getting started. But I was selling on eBay, mainly things from around the house that I no longer needed. I had just moved. And there were some things that I thought, well, instead of trying to set up a garage sale, which can be quite time consuming and a lot of work, I'll sell these things online. eBay was pretty new to me. And I tell you, I got started and I never looked back. So I sold mostly on eBay from 2001 until about 2007. And in 2007, I started working to sell on Amazon. I got started and Amazon, it didn't take very long for Amazon became my full-time gig at that time. I had a full-time job, but around 2014, I decided to throw everything I had into selling online. And I did that full-time. And I've been selling online full-time since about 2014, early 2014. I had already made the decision in the year prior, but since 2014, I've been full-time selling online. And offline, I guess you could just say that sales was in my blood, because even as a youngster, I sold things around the house. That was a way for me to make extra money, for me to buy my designer jeans. There was always something that, caused me to want to be in sales. And I wouldn't say sales is in a sales position, but I was always selling things. That was always kind of my thing from the time I was a youngster all the way up until now. And so now I am a single mom of 2 amazing teenage sons. And because I have 2 amazing teenage sons, then there is an amazing amount of crud around our house that constantly gives me inventory that I can sell. With teenage boys, they are into sneakers, they are into video games. And these are some of the things that I, even before I had kids, started selling way back in the late 90s. And so going into my full-time status as an online reseller, it has worked to my benefit. But because of my teenage sons, they are my why. They are the reason that I left corporate America so that I could be home and spend more time with them. And it has worked to our benefit because, as I like to say, my online sales fund everything. They seem to think, my tagline's like, it funds our summer fun, and it funds our basketball fun, and it funds our vacation fun. They like those taglines, but what they don't realize is that my online sales fund everything. As a full-time online seller, as a reseller, everything that I have, all of the inventory that I buy and sell goes to support our household and all of the requirements that I have for running it. So just want you to keep in mind that as I go through Mercari, I'm going to talk to you specifically about Mercari, but mostly everything that I teach can be applied across all platforms. I think I've sold on just about every platform. Ebbs and flows, oftentimes because of things that are going on with the platform, I might sell more on one or the other, but Mercari is my absolute favorite right now. And I'm going to get into some of the reasons why, but let me just go through and tell you what we're going to talk about today. So if you have not heard of Mercari, one of my first questions was, what is a Mercari? That was one of the questions I asked before I ever actually got on the app and started selling. When I heard about it, that was kind of the first question that came to my mind. I'm going to talk to you about why you should be selling on Mercari. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Mercari as a company, and then we're actually going to create an account on Mercari and create a listing on Mercari. And it won't be an online real-time listing. I'm just going to show you how to do it. Our time is limited here, and I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to take a good look at the app for yourself and find out if it's something that you want to do. But I'm going to give you as much information as I can in the short amount of time allotted so that you can make a good decision. We're going to talk about some of the best sellers. Everyone always wants to know what to sell. And so as we go through this, we're going to talk about what some of the best sellers are. And then we'll also talk about what some of the items that you can't sell are, because every platform is different. I'll talk to you some about the fees. People always want to know whenever they're starting up with a new platform. That's one of the things that kind of freaks us out. But it's just a fact of life. No matter where you sell, you're going to be paying fees. So I will break down the Mercari fees. They're super simple, and one of the reasons I sell so much over here. And then just because we've made a listing, created an account, and you make a sale, we're going to show you, talk to you some about shipping those purchases out to your actual customers. Everyone wants to know how to get paid. That's why we're all here. Anything that you're selling and whatever platform you're selling on, you're doing it so that you can make money. So I'll talk to you a little bit about how that works on the Mercari app. And then, of course, in the event that you make a sale and the customer wants to return it, I'll speak to you just briefly about how that works on this app. So what is a Mercari? Mercari is a Japanese e-commerce company that was founded in the early part of 2013, and it's currently operating in Japan, United States, and I believe now, I think since 2016, also in the UK. Mercari is Latin for to trade. And so obviously, that's kind of what we're doing when we're trading goods for money or goods for goods. I think that the Chinese were ingenious when they came up with this name. So it expanded to the United States in 2014, and as I mentioned, yes, to the UK in 2016. The marketplace app allows users to buy and sell items actually very quickly. And the fact that you can do this from an app on your smartphone is one of the main reasons why it has become such a phenomenal way for resellers to actually list their items and to sell their items. It was awarded Best Shopping App by Google Play in 2013, and it is consistently among the top shopping apps for usage. So what does that mean to us as sellers? That means that there's a lot of exposure. There's a ton of apps out here now. And of course, they bounce around in those, the top ranks, depending on, what people are trending toward what people are looking for and what people are interested in buying. But Mercari has consistently been among those top apps as far as usage, as far as how many users there are on the app, and as far as how much time users actually spend shopping in the app. So that's just a little bit about Mercari. And if you want reasons on why you should be selling on Mercari, I'm here to give them to you. So these are just simple reasons. I'll get more in depth about specific things with this particular app. But when you look at why we're selling on Mercari, the main thing is we want to make extra cash. So you can either sell items on Mercari or you can refer items to other people, but everyone can use some extra cash, whether if you're a seller and you want to use that extra cash to buy inventory, or if you know people that need a little bit of extra cash actually in their household. If you are a current seller, one of the things that you want to definitely be thinking about is, what are some of the other platforms that I can use to get rid of inventory? So for me, it started out with some things that were either that I was pulling back from a larger platform, a well-known platform that was kind of changing the rules on me. So if you've got inventory that you get returned to you, mine, after a while, I set it up to automatically get returned to me because it had become such a daunting task to go in and actually find the items that needed to get returned to me after a certain period of time, whether they were going to either be destroyed or they were getting close to expiration dates, or whether they'd just been sitting over there long enough and I was tired of paying those exorbitant storage fees that we all hate so much. But if you wanted to get your inventory that's returned to you sold and in a quick way, anything that was going to help me get it not only out of my house, but out of my third-party fulfillment center and out of my Amazon fulfillment center where I was paying those fees, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a way to get rid of that inventory and still make it make sense that I could make money with that inventory, something that I'd already paid for. If I needed just to make space, so whether you've got, in my case, as I mentioned with my teenage sons, they outgrow everything, it seems, so quickly. But if you've got a lot of unused, in my case, that's what they do. It sits in the back of their closet and it never gets used. And then I pull it out and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? If the time has passed where I can't return that item. So what am I going to do as a reseller? Of course, I'm going to sell it. Even if you've got items that are gently used that you can clean up a little bit and get those into your listings, get those into your inventory, then you're going to make money just by selling it. This is why we're online as sellers. So if you've got specific items that you want to sell online, whether they're unique items, collectible items, even vintage items, there's lots of platforms that we'll talk about throughout this summit. But sometimes you have items that people are absolutely searching for. If it's discontinued, no longer available, if it's a vintage item that's, from way back in the day, I guarantee you, I like to tell people all the time, my favorite saying used to be, if somebody's out there looking for it, the reason they can't find it is because it's in my attic, because it's in my garage, because it's in my storage facility. I had so much extra inventory, things that had been brought back, things that were supposed to be bundled, things that were bought as, liquidation lot, whatever that looked like. But this is a great way to take some of those items that other people are looking for and get them up listed online to be sold. Saving time, that's a big one for a lot of people. As I mentioned, when I was selling offline, used to have garage sales at least maybe once a year or every year and a half. They take a lot of time, very time consuming. And taking pictures of a few items around your house just to put them up on an app, super easy. The mobile apps actually appeal to different audiences. They're more millennials and the Generation Z. These are the younger people and they like using their smartphones. If they've got an iPhone in their hand, they're going to use it for everything under the sun. So this is where the mobile apps come in. If you've got items, as I mentioned before, my kids are sneakerheads and they like to play video games. This is the perfect place to get exposure for those items that the younger people are looking for. lots and lots of additional exposure because there are more than 19 million monthly users on Mercari, and that was last year. I'm sure that as, like I said, the mobile apps continue to become more popular, that those numbers are going to continue to grow. With Mercari specifically, I like it because it's less anonymous than some of the other mobile apps where you're not really sure if you're dealing with a real person or not. And then there's greater safety in this because there's no need to actually meet up with strangers if you're going to sell things from around your house. There's no need to go to one of these exchanges. There's no need to get out and go, outside of your humble abode to meet with people just so that you can sell your stuff. Uh, Easy communication. So it's a super easy and convenient way just to have a conversation right in the app. You don't need to give out your phone number. You don't need to give out your email address. The app has a communication set up very well where if the person has a question, if they want to know more about your item, if they'd like to make you an offer, all of those things are supported very well in the app. So if you're planning on or thinking about selling on Mercari, there's just a few things that I thought were important for you to know. So there are a few of the mobile apps that we've talked about a lot. If you're a member of the eCom Sellers Academy, we talk about all things resale. And mobile apps have been for a while now one of our favorite topics. But if you're looking at Mercari, it definitely beats Poshmark and eBay when it comes to the seller fees. eBay is pretty comparable. There's a few differences, but when it comes to the differences between Mercari and Poshmark, I'm on all three of these platforms. But when it comes to the differences between Mercari and Poshmark, Mercari is definitely much cheaper than Poshmark when it comes to the fees. But you need to take into account that lower fees likely mean that the app is doing less advertising, which could result in fewer sales. But one thing that I love specifically about this app is that the listings are super easy to maintain. It's easy to expand your audience if you've got items listed elsewhere. It's super easy just to expand your audience just by cross-posting over here to Mercari. The great thing is that there are no listing fees, so it doesn't cost you anything if you've got items listed already on eBay. If you've got items already listed on Amazon or on Etsy, super easy to get those items over here on Mercari because it's not going to cost you anything until you actually sell them. You can choose to cover shipping yourself when you're dealing with sales on Mercari, or you can have the buyer pay for their own shipping when they check out. The Mercari labels are covered with up to $200 shipping protection. And if you're shipping within the 50-state contiguous United States, then all of your shipping is for a flat fee. Makes it super simple, a whole lot simpler than trying to do the calculated shipping, having to weigh everything out, having to know exactly what the right measurements are. Makes it super easy to ship. And plus, if you ship within the Mercari app, you're going to save about an average of 30% off your retail carrier rates. If you're shipping something oversized, bulky, or even fragile, it gives you some options, and it gives you some options that are going to be less than traditional shipping. If you're listing an item on this free app and it only takes a few minutes, once it sells, then a printable label is emailed directly to you. Again, one of the things I like about it, there's no need to go out and meet up with anybody. You can buy and sell a wide range of items. I like to say, what sells on Mercari? Everything sells on Mercari. What should you be listing on Mercari? Everything sells on Mercari. What might you be looking for that you could be putting onto Mercari, whether you're doing that wholesale, whether you're doing things from around the house, or even if you happen to be a thrifter? Everything sells on Mercari. The key is finding out which items it is that you want to sell, putting those items up, and making sure that you're consistent about it. Mercari is going to accept, as a buyer, you want to know, what are you offering as a seller, you want to know what are you offering to your buyers. So Mercari accepts from the buyers all major credit cards. They can even pay through Apple Pay. Again, we talked about the younger generation. This is the way they like to pay for things. They can use PayPal and Zip. You can also pay for a part of your purchases using the Mercari credits that you gain or earn by selling things, and you can apply those balances to purchases. So if you've got people that are buying and selling on Mercari, then those people, when they become your buyers, they're going to have a variety of ways that they're actually going to be able to pay for their purchases. If you've got at least $600 in gross sales, this is effective this year, Mercari is going to send you a 1099K form. So you need to know that as a seller. It used to be a much larger amounts, but right now, if you've got just $600 in sales, you're going to get that 1099K from Mercari that you can use for your taxes. So we want to make sure that you keep track of all of your unadjusted gross sales during the course of the calendar year. This, again, I'm throwing this in here kind of at the last minute. I put this into the kind of about Mercari, just the things to know, because the IRS regulations have changed, and now all businesses have to process the payments, just to give you that form if you sell more than $600 or more. And that's in a calendar year. So just keep that in mind. A few other things just to take note of. On Mercari, when you're selling, they're going to hold your funds until the buyers are satisfied. So, there are pros and cons to this. You've got a lot fewer returns because of this. And I, for one, that's like my nemesis. I don't like processing returns, dealing with returns, and for that matter, even training other people how to do with it, because you never know what type of buyer you're going to deal with. So they give you 3 days. They give the buyer 3 days, and then 3 days after delivery, if that buyer has not left you a review, then the sale is going to be finalized. You'll go ahead and get your 5-star rating, and then you get paid. Sellers are required to accept all returns that are approved by Mercari. I'll get into it a little later, but there are specific reasons why a buyer could return things. It's not just, I changed my mind and I don't want this item anymore. It doesn't work that way. So sellers have to take those returns, but if you use a prepaid label from Mercari, then the return cost is covered. You want to be sure to keep your listings up to date, and you want to make sure that you ship your orders out as soon as possible. I want you to think about this, because if I'm a buyer and I'm looking at your listing and you're not shipping it out on time, but Mercari actually does a great job of giving you these very visible badges, but you want to make sure that you do this. And so in order to protect the marketplace, the company will possibly impact your selling privileges. These badges that I talk about can be revoked if you have frequent cancellations or if you're repeatedly, having late shipments. So these are the steps just to get started selling on the Mercari app. And again, I'll go into greater detail a little further down the line, but I just wanted to give you like a quick step-by-step of what it looks like. So it's super easy. You're going to install the app. You're going to create a profile on the app once you get it started. Very easily, you're going to tap on sale. Mercari makes it super easy because all you've got to do is select a category. You can select a photo right from your phone, upload it, add a title and description, and tell what you want your price to be. You can actually share directly from Mercari over to your social media platforms, which is another great way to get additional exposure. Once that item is up and listed, you are going to be able from the app to review, negotiate, and accept any offers that come through. If you're actually printing a label, you're going to print your label. Many of us have smartphones that will allow us to do that directly from our phone, but I'll give you some additional options a little later in the presentation. But you're going to print your label and package the item that that you've sold, and then you're going to ship it out. Once you ship that item out and your your buyers reviewed it and given you your rating, you're going to actually give your buyer a review as well. So I'll talk to you a little later about how to get paid on Mercari, but I just wanted to give you kind of a quick step-by-step of what it looks like to actually sell on the app. As I mentioned before, every platform is different, but this one, because it's right in the palm of your hand and super easy to use, this is a wonderful way to make extra money and to actually get rid of inventory that you might have had from a carryover from some other platform. But this is a wonderful way to cross list additional items and get some additional sales. So what does it look like when you install the app? These are some, I think these actual screenshots, snaps, might be a little dated, but for the most part, you know, you're going to go in, you're going to look the app up in your Play Store or your whatever that looks like. You're going to see Mercari, and it is called the Selling app. You're going to continue that. You can sign up either with email or Facebook. And again, one of the things that they say, sell or buy almost anything. So when I talk specifically about what can you sell, everything sells on Mercari. So you're going to be able to accept notifications if you want them right from inside the app when you're installing it. And then once you get in here, they will give you, and now I don't know if it's a limited time or not, but this is actually $10 instead of $5 right now to sell. When you list your first item, you get $10 that you can spend on the app. And so again, if you're getting, you know, new users every single day looking at your item and they've got money in hand to spend, that's a win for everybody. So this actually shows us setting up an actual account for our company, just as an example, but you'll get a quick welcome, and then they want to know, are you here to buy or sell? So as a seller, of course, you're going to choose that you're here to sell, and then you're going to be able to get instant push notifications directly to your phone. Again, it's an amazing way to run a business directly from your phone, especially if you're out and active with family activities like we are. This is a great way to get it done. You're able to search for just about anything. I like to go through and search and see what pops up, because one of the things about this app that's very different from some of the others, there's not a real complex algorithm that you've got to deal with, but you do want to know that the items that are searched for and the items that come up are going to continue to kind of bubble up to the top. So you're able to search for whatever it is that you're looking for, and the top searches are going to show up. And this gives you an idea of what people are actually looking for. Again, you want to make sure that if you've got things that you're looking to list, that this is a great place to put them, because it tells you specifically what people are looking for on the app. So when you go to create your listing on Mercari, you want to be sure that you actually review the guidelines. Like I said, it's super easy for us to get up here and tell you just to go create a profile and just start listing. But we want to make sure that you actually review their guidelines, review the marketplace guidelines, the company guidelines, and also the buyer guidelines, just so that you know what the expectations are from the buyer side. You want to know that even as a seller. So you're going to tap sell in the bottom right corner of the home screen. And again, I showed you what some of the screens look like once you get that installed. And you want to make sure that you snap a few, and I like to say more than a few, as many as possible, but you want to snap a few pictures of your item, and you want to show the item from different angles. I'll talk to you some about how I improved my sales drastically. Pictures is a big piece of that. Your title's going to give you up to 40 characters that you can put in there. Again, on eCom Sellers, all of our education, we always tell everybody, use what's given to you. So if you're given 40 characters, use it wisely, use great keywords, but you want people to be able to find your item. You don't want to list something as a book. You know, you want to know, you want to be able to put in there exactly what kind of book, if you've got room to put in the author, if you've got room to put in subtitles, if you've got room to put in topics. It helps, because you never know what your buyer's searching for. You can write a short description for your listing right there in the app, and it can include the size, the brand, the condition, any specific things that you want, you know, the buyer to know about your item. If it's hard to find, if it's vintage, if it's the last of its kind, if it's signed, if it's collectible, you want to be able to put that information into your description so that the buyer knows exactly what it is they're going to get. I actually like to refer people back to the photos, just in case, you know, there's something that they might miss or something specific that they're looking for. I want to make sure that they look at my photos, which I do a great job with photos, but make sure that they look at the photos very closely so that they're clear on what it is that I'm selling, the condition of it. And again, if it's, you know, a specific brand and they're looking for a certain logo, Logos change. The brand might have changed their look. So it's one way for them to tell if an item, if you list it as vintage, one way for them to tell is if they can actually see that brand name on the item and know what the vintage logo look like. You want to put that in there. You want to put that into the photos. You want to be sure that you actually add tags or hashtags to your listing. Mercari is great for this. It only gives you a few, but it's commonly searched keywords. So if you put those in there, it's going to, again, the algorithm is not nearly as complicated as some of the other apps and platforms that we use, but you want to make sure that you use what is allowed. You want to make sure that if they give you a place to put keywords and hashtags in there, make sure that you're taking that opportunity to put those in. And then lastly, you're just going to set a price, choose a shipping method, which means are you shipping it out, paying for the shipping, or is the buyer going to pay for the shipping? Once you tap list, you are done. So again, hard to put all this on one screen, but just wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like in the app. You've got pictures up here. 1 picture is required. We suggest you put in at least 4. They want to know what you're selling, give you a place for the description. And again, they only allow 3 tags, but you want to put those in there. You can pick a category, a brand, and of course the condition. The buyer wants to know if the item is new, and if it's not new, is it like new, like you took it out of the box, but you never really, put it on? Is it just in good condition, meaning you may have worn it a few times, but you took really good care of it, fair or poor? But they want to know what kind of condition the item is that they're buying, and of course the pictures are going to tell a great story as well. So you've got that over here, but you also want to list any of the specifics on the item that the app allows you to list, because these are part of what they use in the algorithm when people are searching for it. So, if you've got black boots, you want to put that in there. You can put that into your description, but you also want to put that in the color area here, because again, how they decide to use these in the algorithm, it's going to boost, the views on your listing. It gives you a place to put in where you're shipping from, and then they want to know if you're going to offer free shipping. I don't like to tell anyone, what kind of model to use when it comes to shipping, but if you're going to offer free shipping, here's my opportunity just to tell you, make sure that you at least calculate that in your price. So many new sellers, get discouraged because they find that they're really not making money because they don't really have a good idea of how much it costs to ship something. And so they offer free shipping, maybe, pad the price by a few dollars. And then especially now where the prices have gone through the roof just, recently, and they're going up every year, come to find out, that instead of the $2 that you thought it was going to take to ship that teeny tiny item, it's going to end up being more like, closer to $4. And so that eats directly into your profit. So you want to know what that looks like. But if you're going to offer free shipping, by all means, know what that shipping is going to cost you so that you can price accordingly. And if you're not going to offer free shipping, Mercari does a great job of giving the buyer kind of a flat rate, as I mentioned before. So you can have the buyer pay for that. You can do that in each listing right here. Once you click list, then you're done. If you are in the middle of creating a listing, you've got a couple of really good pictures, but you want to take some more, or you're not real sure, how to list that description. There's a couple of words that you'd like to look up on another platform, or maybe do a little extra research. You can also save that listing as a draft, and it'll be there waiting for you when you come back. Here's my absolute favorite. So as I mentioned before, it doesn't cost anything to list on Mercari. There are no listing fees. And so a great way off the bat to increase your sales and to be successful when you're selling on Mercari is to list from other sites. And we call that cross-listing or cross-posting or cross-selling. But there's a few cross-posting tools that are available. And if you're in Mercari and you're a pro seller, the eBay import tool is phenomenal. It's an easy way to get everything from your eBay account over onto your Mercari account. Now, I know it's only available for users that are part of the Mercari Pro Seller program, and that program is no longer accepting anyone, I don't believe, for the wait list, but it was a beta program. And again, if you're able to get items straight from eBay over to Mercari, it's a great way to save a lot of time in your listing. Vendu is one that we've talked about in our, not only in our previous summits, but again, if you're a part of eCom Sellers Academy, we teach all things e-commerce, and cross-posting is something that we talk about regularly. So Vendu actually offers a free trial, but they only offer a paid version. Prime Lister is a newer one to me. I've played around with it and I absolutely love it. It also offers a free trial, only a paid version. List Perfectly, we've had those ladies on our summits in the past. Absolutely wonderful tool to use. It offers a free trial, only a paid version. And then Resale Kit is an app, but it offers a free subscription, meaning that you're actually able to use this product without paying for it. They think they give you 50 free listings every month that you're able to cross over to a different platform. But they also offer a paid version if you need more than just those 50. And so with most of these, we'll actually give you, when you actually log in to come back to watch these videos later, we'll give you links that will give you either discounts or give you some type of benefit for getting signed up through eCom Sellers, just for being here. Product Sup is another one that's fairly new. I've gone in and looked at it, but it gets really good reviews. It offers a free trial. And I put this in here because not every product or tool does give you the option of having a free trial. So I try to list the ones here that have really good reviews that I've either have personal experience with or some of the leadership has used before, and it comes very highly recommended. Clearly, you know, depending on which platforms you're on and what works best for you, you know, you have to take a look at them and kind of analyze them yourself and see which ones are going to be better for you and work within your budget. But obviously, a free subscription is great for everyone. Product Sup also offers a free trial and only a paid version, and then cross-listed. We've talked about cross-listed for some years now, but again, it offers a free trial in addition to a paid version. So, you know, if you just want to get a look at what these look like, how they work, and how they can work for you, by all means, go sign up for the free trial. Most of them, I believe, is a 7-day trial. A few of them offer a little more, and then some of them actually have, you know, like a money back guarantee within that first either 14 or 30 days. So it gives you some time to play with it and figure out how you're going to be able to implement it into your selling strategy. Again, cross-listing just means we're taking a listing that you might have to create once and spend a lot of time researching, getting your keywords together, and putting it all together in the best format possible. You might only want to do that one time. It can get very time-consuming when you're trying to create a listing and then create it for another platform and then create it for another platform and then optimize it for yet another platform. So by using some of those tools, you'll be able to take that same listing that you put on eBay and actually push it over to Mercari, or push it over to Etsy, or push it over to Shopify, or import it from Amazon. So again, take a look at some of those. I'll go back, take a look at some of those tools and just see, you know, if they offer the platforms that you use the most. And if they do, you know, does it fit into your budget? So one of the things that people always ask is, well, what is it that you sell? And again, I repeat, you can sell anything on Mercari. And when I tell you I've sold everything from some of the most bizarre things, you know, to the everyday run-of-the-mill items. Again, a few years back, several years back, my question was, what is a Mercari? Now, everything I'm looking forward to possibly increase, you know, my sales on the Mercari side. So my top sales categories, because I have young men with big feet, one of the top things that I personally sell are men's shoes. They're teenagers, but they wear men's sizes. And so I sell men's shoes probably more than anything over this last couple of years. I've got women's clothing as probably one of my top categories under men's clothing. Additionally, under men's shoes, men's clothing, again, I've got very tall teenage boys. So even though they're slender, they wear men's sizes. I've got some kids' clothes that still sell really well. Electronics is another item that we sell around here just because, they're each year they're kind of upgrading, and it gives me an opportunity to list some of those items. I'm a crafter, and so craft items, whether it's something that I bought and intended to use or something that I find, when I'm out in my sourcing and just put it up here to sell, those are some of the things that have been selling really well for me. If you are not familiar with all the extra time people have been spending at home because of this pandemic that we've been in for the last 2 years, craft items have been selling really well, and they've done really well for me. I would say that I had an increase in my sales probably from from the year before last to last year of about 35% as far as the actual craft items I was selling. And that was everything from crochet patterns, cross stitch patterns, yarn. I mean, there were so many things that either, again, I thought I'd try and never did, organization things for the craft items, whatever it is, people are looking for those items they can work on while they're at home, spending more time at home. And those items have been selling really well. Again, women's shoes, they're at the bottom of my list, but still at the top of my categories just because they sell really well. But shoes is one of those things that I have an affinity for. So don't list as many of them as I probably should. When I find them, unless they're not in my size, when I find them, they typically spend some time with me before I'm able to list them. So those are some of the things that I personally sell. But when you look at, what are some of the things that you should be selling on Mercari, I want to say this right off the top: trends, trendy things, anything that's hot. You've got hot brands, you've got, things that might be considered a fad. But I want you to be, if you're out looking for things to sell, you need to be looking at Nike. You need to be looking at all the anime stuff. You need to be looking at the Ray Dunn, Patagonia. You've got all these things that are hot right now, the Funko Pops. These are things that you should absolutely be selling on Mercari. Electronics and accessories, whether it's the cases, the cords, the holders, the phone, the car holders for the phone, whatever those accessories are, people need them. When they get a new phone, they've got to get all new accessories. When they, break a new phone and go back to their old phone, a lot of times they don't know where those accessories are, or they're worn and they need to get new ones. So if you've got any of those that you haven't used, that you planned on using, or if you go out and can find them in a lot, those are items that you should absolutely be selling on Mercari. Larger oversized items, because Mercari offers kind of that discount on shipping. There are some things that I've sold that blew my mind just because of how easy they were to sell. I put them up, I list them, and they sell literally within a few days. Everything from, larger, kind of hard to find trash cans, like the Simple Human, that sort of thing. Guitar cases. Again, if you can find a box for those, Mercari shipping is going to save you and the buyer, if it's, that you select that the buyer's going to pay the shipping, saves them a ton of money. And so the larger items, things that I would never think to list on some of the other platforms because the shipping can be outrageous, those are some of the items that you absolutely should be selling on Mercari. I had gotten away from purses, bags, backpacks, just because they were kind of oversaturated on some of the other platforms. But when I'm out now, I'm looking in some of the resale stores, when I'm looking, at the thrift stores, when I'm looking at the used items on some of the other online marketplaces, these are items that absolutely sell over here. People are looking for things that they're already in there. I want to suggest that if, you've got a niche, that you put those items over here on Mercari, because when I say that people are looking for them, we talk about 19 million users every single month, that they're looking for those things and you've got them posted, you've got those things already listed. When they're looking for them, you're going to get that additional exposure. So again, if you don't have them listed on the other sites, by all means, take a chance and put them up on Mercari. But if you do have them listed on other sites and you find that they're not moving, make sure that you're cross-posting those items over here, because again, it's not costing you anything just to list them. The fact that there are no listing fees means to me that I'll take a chance getting just about any of my stuff over here on Mercari. Cameras, for a long time, I was a camera buff, but cameras, every time I get my hands on one and list it, it sells right away. camera gear, if you're able to find those things. Again, those are some of the hot items that are specifically for us that we're finding sell better on Mercari than so. So we want to talk a little bit about returns just because I'm going through the list of how things work over here. But just so that you know, a buyer can actually request a return within 3 days of the confirmed delivery if one or more of these actual conditions apply. It's not as it was listed, and it's not as it was described in the listing. Possibly a counterfeit if they use that as their reason for returning it, then of course that's something that Mercari is going to take into account. If it's an item from their prohibited list, which I'll get into later. If the item arrives to the buyer and it's damaged or defective, or if they just, flat out get the wrong item, your shipping department or your fulfillment department ships them the wrong item, then that would be something where they might be able to request a return. They can't just say, oh, I don't want it, I changed my mind, it doesn't fit, whatever the case may be. Those are not reasons that Mercari is going to accept. And of course, it has to go through Mercari. It's not something where you say yes or no. If Mercari approves the return, they will give that buyer prepaid label, assuming that you have actually bought and shipped the item through them. And then that way the item can be returned to you. When it's returned, then they will refund the item to the buyer in the original form of payment. And then here's some recommendations for increasing your sales. You're going to go and get ID verified from the very beginning. This gives you opportunity to work toward the badges. So you get a badge for being ID verified. These badges on Mercari are very visible. It's not like, we look at our feedback on some of the others or whatever, but you want to get reliable badge, which means that you do what you say you're going to do, that you're actually shipping things out. You want to get the badge that says you're a quick shipper if I'm a buyer and, not real sure how long it's going to take for me to get it. This badge is going to tell me that you have established a track record of shipping very quickly, and then being a fast responder. If I have a question, I want to make sure that I hear from you. If you're taking, several days just to answer a question as a buyer, I'm going to think, well, how can I depend on them to ship my item quickly if, they don't respond quickly when I have a question about an item? So it might, increase your sales if you get those badges. They're highly visible. As soon as someone logs in and sees your item, those badges are going to show up. We want to make sure, again, I'm going to reiterate that you take a lot of really good pictures. You want those pictures to be bright, and you want to include close-ups of any flaws that may be in there. Like, again, I always refer people in my description back to the photo. So if there's anything specific that they're looking for, anything that might be a showstopper for them, that they'll be able to see those in the pictures prior to either submitting an offer or placing an order. One of the things that people take for granted or don't do, especially on Mercari, if you look at Mercari and you go through a list of things, like if you just do a search and look at them, is that people don't take very nice pictures. So you can stand out and set yourself apart just by using a nice photo backdrop. I like wood grain. In one wall of my inventory room, I've got wood grain. On the other wall, I just got plain white. And I actually do this by getting just plain paper from the craft store. Again, I mentioned I like the crafts, but you can go to your local hobby store or craft store, and I pin it up with thumbtacks on one wall with the wood grain, thumbtacks on the other wall with plain white, and it gives me a wonderful backdrop, and no one knows that it's not a professional backdrop for photography. Those are great for things that you've got to hang up. I want to recommend that you use a really wide hanger. It makes your clothes look so much better than if they're hanging on a really small hanger and it just kind of droops down. Use a hanger that's really wide, even if it's wider than what's needed for your item. It makes your item pop. It makes your pictures pop. It makes the item easy to see. And then if you have an item that can't be hung up or that you can't do upright, you want to make sure that you have a nice backdrop for that as well. If it's something that you do need to put down, no one wants to buy something if they see it crumpled up on the floor and your floor is dirty. You want to have a nice faux fabric, just a piece of fabric. It doesn't have to be really large. Again, you can get that from your local craft store, sewing store, but you want to put your item on that, make it very well, take your pictures there so that they're very easy to see. And again, you want it to look nice and professional. So this is an easy thing that you can do to make your pictures nice and professional. And you want to make sure that if you've got items that you're either thrifting or your personal use, you know, if it's stuff out of your personal closet, your kids' closet, that you make those used items look as nice as possible. And again, these may sound like they're common sense, but if you look at some of the pictures, especially on some of the other platforms like Mercari, people do not do a good job of making these items look nice. And so with just a few items that, you know, don't cost a lot of money, if you've got sneakers, we like to use the plastic shapers. You want to use like the sneaker white. You want to make those items look really good. If you've got sweaters or sweatshirts, which hoodies, everybody likes a hoodie now. Use the sweater stones. Use the sweater stones to get rid of any peeling. You can make pilling, not peeling, pilling. You can make those sweatshirts and sweaters look like new. Whether you grab that at a thrift store or garage sale, as long as there aren't any rips or tears in them, you can wash those items and make them look really good. And when you take those photos, people will think, you know, that's a like new item. So if you're going to use your personal items, just make sure that when you take your pictures, you make those items look as nice as possible. This is going to set you apart from other buyers, from other sellers. And the buyers are going to see your items and they will pop and they will buy them. I mentioned it briefly before, but consider establishing a niche. It helps to develop a following on Mercari. People are able to like your items. They're able to follow you as a seller, and you're able to push items through their feed because when you list something new as a follower, they see it automatically. So as an example, if I've got someone that has bought a certain size shoe that I've listed, either mine or one of my sons, then I'm able to reach out to that person and say, you know, hey, I've got more shoes coming. And it gives me, I mean, even in the case where it's not a niche, if it's clothing and shoes, developing a following, if you have a niche, will allow you to make more sales. I guarantee it. Some of these things that I was not doing a few years ago, just a few minor tweaks, and I tell you that my sales have absolutely tripled in just this last year. And a lot of it isn't from more listings because I was always kind of cross-posting, which is how I got over to Mercari. But a lot of it is just taking a few extra minutes and a little bit of extra time and effort to do things differently so that you stand out on this platform. I'll just keep going down the list of my own personal recommendations on how you can be successful on Mercari. These are other ideas and suggestions on how to increase your sales. So offering to bundle items. I often put this in my descriptions as well, off the top, and even in my profile description, I let people know that I'm willing to bundle and save them, you know, on shipping. And if I'm paying the shipping, I absolutely want to bundle because as a seller, you know, shipping out one package instead of 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how many items I'm able to bundle, is going to save me time, energy, and money. And so I absolutely want to bundle those items whenever possible. So I will I'll make that offer every time someone buys something, every time someone asks a question, every time someone makes an offer. I will, you know, give them the offer of looking through my listings. And if they find something, I'm happy to offer a discount for, you know, multiple items. You want to make sure that you are descriptive as possible in your description and in your title. It will help save you some time on getting a whole bunch of questions. You know, you list something, the picture's not good, they can't see, you know, it very clearly. They may ask you, is this black or is this brown? Well, that's another question you've got to take time and actually go and respond to the buyer. So it might help your items sell faster, but you just want to make sure that you put those items in your description and in your title because those are how people are going to find your item. You list your items so that they can be found and so that they can be bought. Very important. You want to price your item appropriately, meaning don't price it too high, don't price it too low. But on the Mercari app, I will say that when I cross list from eBay, I do pad the price by just a couple of dollars, primarily because, again, it's very prominently displayed on the page that they actually are able to make an offer. On some of the other platforms, people are not able to make an offer. So if your price is not what they want to pay, they just skip over it. But on Mercari, because they are able to make an offer and almost encouraged to make an offer, I will, up the price by a few dollars so that I have that wiggle room in the event that an offer is made. Again, I mentioned the tags feature, but you want to make sure that your older listings are getting bumped back up. And so the tags make your listings searchable. And if people are searching for them and they're showing up, then they're going to get more views because they're going to continue to show them. One of the mistakes that I made early on, because my kids were younger and my work hours I used to brag about this because I was, PTA parent by day, basketball parent in the afternoons, and, mom of the year when I was getting my kids down in the evenings. And so my work hours when I first started my e-commerce business full time was 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Those were the hours that I worked in my business as far as getting my listings up. During the day, I was still able to ship and get some things done, but those were the hours that I listed my items. And on the Mercari app, when I noticed that a lot of my items weren't selling very quickly, I figured out, you have to actually list those items during prime buying times. And I'll get into the algorithm a little bit, not a lot. We've got a ton of classes that we teach that go into a lot of this in depth. But right now, just trying to give you a couple of tips. But you want to list during prime buying times because when you list it, right away it's visible. It's visible right when you list it. So if you list it when people are buying, let's say over lunch, right after work and into the evening hours, your item is much more likely to be seen and much more likely at that point to be favorited or bought. And so listing late at night sounded like a great idea for me because I was able to get a lot of things done while my kids were sleeping. But what I found out was I had to adjust my schedule, do some of those other things at nighttime, and then I was able to actually list during what's considered most people's lunch hour, and then also right after work and into the evening hours. Continuing down my list of recommendations, again, no listing fee. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be cross-listing from other sites. More listings means more sales, means more money. So if you want to be successfully selling on Mercari, then make sure that you're actually getting eyes on your listing over here, even from those items that you have listed on other platforms. You have the opportunity to actually send offers to people who like your items. I mentioned likes before, but if a person is just scrolling through and they see something that they like, they may want to come back to it later. You're able to see when your item has so many likes on it, and you have an option of just sending out, like a 10% off or whatever to people who've liked your item. I will go through and do this about once a week for items that have not moved very quickly, because what I've found is I make so many sales on Mercari, but most of my items sell within the first, I'd say 3 to 4 days. Again, a lot of that just comes because of my tweaking and the type of items that I'm selling, the trendy items, some of the larger, hard to find items. You want to make sure that they stay up in that search feed. So sending offers to people kind of brings them back, brings it to top of mind, something that they might have seen before or might have been searching for before. Now they've got an offer in front of them where they can actually save some money. And I make a lot of my sales through this method of sending offers to people who might have liked them previously. Another very important tip that I will give you is to end old items and relist them. You want to do this on a regular basis. Again, Mercari does not have a super complicated algorithm like some of the other platforms. It's when the item is seen, it's seen more. When the item is searched, it's seen more often. When the item, comes up in the search list and people are actually viewing it, then they're showing it to more people. So when your item gets pushed down and push down further and push down further, the odds of you actually selling it on Mercari are lessened by a great deal. So you do better if you just go in that item and just relist it. Again, doing cross-posting from other websites. If you're using a tool, it makes this so much easier because you're able to just end that item on this platform and then just kind of sync it because the item's still on the other platforms. But it will give you a huge boost in your sales. It will give you a huge boost in the visibility of your listings. And so for that reason alone, I believe that most of my items that I've listed, they sell. I mean, it's not like some of my other items that are sitting on some of the platforms that have been there for a while, and I call them stale. And I'll tweak the listing and I'll change something. You know, I might lower the price a little bit if I'm able to. But I found that on this particular platform, just by simply ending the listing and relisting it, that more eyes are on it and it gets sold a lot quicker. And then super important, it's not, you know, just something nice to say. You know, the item comes from a pet-friendly home. This is super important because some people have deadly allergies. So, you know, you might think that just because, you know, your pet brushed against something or, you know, laid on something in a previous, you know, house or something, that it's not necessarily a big deal. You know, you're pulling it out of your garage, you might have washed it, or maybe you didn't, you shook it off because it was in pretty good condition. But if it comes from a pet-friendly home, you need to make sure that you put that disclosure in there, just because you don't want there to be something tragic that happens on the other end of that. Severe allergies and allergic reactions happen all the time. And so we don't have any pets for most of our listings. You know, it's always been smoke-free, pet-free home. And then more recently, I decided to get a pup for my dad, and he was never able to enjoy the pup before he passed along. And so the pup ended up here with us. And I don't know how much longer we'll have her, but I did have to go back for things that hadn't been actually put into bins or securely stored prior to her arrival. Had to go back to some of those listings and put into that listing, you know, that it comes from a pet-friendly home. Not that, you know, the dog or dog hair should be found on any item that you're shipping out, but just, you know, it could be someone that's specifically allergic to dander or someone that's specifically allergic to a certain, you know, type hair. Just want to make sure that the buyer is aware of that. Just throwing that in there. But, you know, if you're going to increase your sales, you want to make sure that if you have a pet-free home or smoke-free home, that you put that in there, because people who have those allergies are going to be looking for those disclosures. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you're shipping your items quickly. Again, you got a badge over there that says you're a quick shipper, but you want to make sure that even if you have that badge, you're getting those items out quickly. You don't want your customer to be dissatisfied because they expect you to get it out in 3 days, and then they expect, you know, that buyer to rate you when they receive your item. So you don't want to get a bad rating just because, you know, they didn't get their item as they, you know, in the time frame that they expected. And then lastly, if you're planning to drop your items off to the carrier, just make sure that you consider now that there is actually a no print option that Mercari offers, where you can just take your item to the carrier and they will scan a QR code and you don't ever have to print a label. Now, why is this important? For me, it was a game changer because so many times I had like a hot selling item and I might be taking off, you know, just to go a few hours down the road or up the road for a basketball game. And we might decide we're going to stay over the weekend or whatever. I did not want to put my store on vacation or shut my listings down when I knew that there were items that I could be selling. So I could take, you know, 20 or 30 of something with me. And if that item sold, I didn't have to be close to a printer. I didn't have to print off a label and put everything into, you know, a perfect sized package or whatever. I could actually ship from on the road now, and it changed things. I know at one point I used to carry a small printer, Over the years, I got away from that. And, I would literally just, put in my listings which days I was shipping if I was doing the shipments from home. And when I got a third party fulfillment team, then I made sure that they had on hand a good supply of some of my hot selling items. Now, me personally, I keep some of those items here just so that my sons and I can ship some of those items out in the event that, something major happens, like who knows, a pandemic or anything that might affect shipping, that I've got some of those hot selling items on hand to be able to get those out. But just another note, you can ship items without having a printer. So again, if you want to increase your sales, this is an opportunity for you to say, you know what, nothing is going to stop me, even though I'm going to be on vacation. If you're not completely out of the country where you can take a few of the items with you or store a few in your trunk or take a few in your bag, then you can still be selling those items while you're out on the road. You just take them over to your nearest UPS store or your nearest post office, and they're able to ship that item without a printed label. So back to my favorite saying, what can I sell on Mercari? I say everything sells on Mercari. Clothes, obviously, I do a lot of clothing and shoes. Accessories, you got belts, you've got scarves, you've got hairbands, headbands, you've got all these things that now, make or break an item or an outfit. You can sell those items on Mercari. You're only allowed to sell makeup if it's new. I don't do a lot of things that are breakable. And I know makeup, if it's some of the things in the case, like blushers or foundations or whatever, that they might break. I don't do any of those items. But if you have new makeup that you want to sell, you're able to do that. If you've got boutique items, those are great on Mercari. And as I mentioned before, purses and bags, if you haven't been able to sell them on other platforms, it's a great way to get started over here. Select home goods, they don't accept everything, but if you've got things for bath, bedding, kitchen accents, if you got holiday items, this is a great place to sell them. And then, of course, office and wall decor. You're not going to be able to sell like large appliances and that sort of thing, not because they're prohibited, but just because, this is just not the mode where you want to be selling those type of items. You want those items to be something where someone can come locally and pick those up. Although there is an option for that as well on Mercari if you don't want to go and meet somebody. Again, with the Pro Seller program, you can actually have a courier come and deliver the item for you. Some of the things that you can't sell, which I call them the prohibited items, you can't sell anything that's illegal. They don't want you over here, pushing off your fake goods, your they say replicas, but anything that's a knockoff. You can't sell products that are made from extinct species. Those would be, furs and that sort of thing. If you've got decor items that might come from an endangered, a protected, or an extinct species. Anything that requires a prescription, so you're not going to be able to sell anything, prescription meds or otherwise, even if it's just a patch or pain or something like that, it requires a prescription. You can't do that over here. No medical products and nothing that misrepresents Native American arts and crafts. And of course, goes without saying, they don't want you selling your stolen goods over there either. So they have a pretty long list of prohibited products. Some of those I just went through, but you've also got on here weapons. You can't sell alcohol or tobacco. You can't sell anything that is actually used for stealing identities, like fake IDs or anything like that. You cannot drop ship, and that's one of their policies. You can't drop ship on Mercari. If it's not in your possession, you shouldn't be listing it. Anything that's a safety hazard, you can't sell any live items. You can't sell digital books and that sort of thing over here. And you also can't sell anything that would be considered financial items. So you can't do, crypto or any type of currency, bonds, nothing like that. You can't sell your gift cards. There are many places where you can. Mercari is not one of them. But you can find a full list under the prohibited items policy, and that's on Mercari, on their website. You'll be able to find those. So again, just wanted to give you an idea of things, what you can, should, and cannot and should not sell on Mercari because I have had so many listings over these last couple of years. Like I said, everything probably went up 3 or more times. And so I know that just having a lot of insight on what the policies are and what they were not, kind of, tweaking my listings from my other platforms over to here, that made a huge difference for me over the last few years. So let's talk about fees. Every time someone jumps on a new platform, everyone whines and complains and talks about the fees. But again, if you're going to sell online, there's no way to get away from them. Just want to make sure right here that you understand them. So I will say it again, that there are no listing fees. That's one of the main drivers for me to list absolutely everything over here on Mercari, but it's an easy formula. So you're gonna pay 10% on the item price on a completed sale, and then now they have a processing fee of 2.9% plus 30 cents for each sale, for each item that you sell. If you want to do direct deposit, there's no fee as long as you're doing that for over $10. If you request a payout and it's less than $10, they're going to charge you a fee for that. And if you request a direct deposit and your bank does not like it for whatever reason, it's going to go back into your balance, but they're going to charge you $2 just for, I guess, the idea that they had to go and try and process it. And a $2 fee for each payment transfer. So you got to be ID verified to get that instant payment, but there's a fee for that as well. So this is just a quick breakdown of what it looks like, but it's going to be, if you set your price at $100, your selling fee is going to be 10% of that, or $10. And then your processing fee is going to be that 2.9 plus the 30 cents. And so that's where you get your 320. And it's going to give you a clear indication of what your earnings are going to be. So they list here smart pricing. You can actually have your price go down after so many days automatically. I don't actually implement that. I never have. But if it's something you want to use just to kind of prevent you from having to go in and keep updating your listings, then that option is available to you as well. So we talk about shipping. On every other platform. Mercari is no different. Want to make sure that whatever you selected when you were listing your item, that's how you do this. So you're going to print off your label if that's what you've decided that you were going to do, is that you were going to take care of the shipping. You prepay for that label on Mercari. If you use the option that I just spoke of, then you've got a QR code at the very top of your item, and you don't need a label at drop-off. You don't even need a printer if you're going to do it this way. You can use a third-party shipping program, like you can go through PayPal to ship, you can go through Pirate Ship, you can go through Stamps, or et cetera. You can purchase your label through one of those third-party websites, print it out, and then you're going to actually go and put that tracking number into Mercari. But a tracking number is always going to be required. Otherwise, you will not get paid. It doesn't matter if you shipped it some other kind of way. If you shipped it where you didn't get a tracking number, that order is going to be canceled, even if the item is in transit. Doesn't matter. You've got to have a tracking number. So once you've done that and you got your tracking number in, you're just going to click that the item's been shipped. And then when you drop that item out, then you're done. You just want to make sure, here's a quick tip, that if you want to schedule a UPS drop-off, then you can do that and they come directly to your house. You, again, don't have to leave your house. You can do that for UPS. You can do that for USPS for completely free. UPS often is going to charge you a fee to pick it up, depending on, if they're already on a route that, goes right by your house and you already have some other business with them. But if not, they're going to charge you a fee. But if you're going to do it through the postal service, it's absolutely free. You can schedule that as soon as the night before. And again, if you're already going to the carrier, you can do that with QR code just by scanning it, and you don't need the printer at all. So the prepaid shipping, you can choose if you're going to pay for that or if the buyer's going to pay for that. Just a quick screenshot to show you what that looks like. The prepaid label, again, they're flat rates, which is phenomenal over here because you don't have to do all the calculations. And then it gives you an average, and then they talk to you some about, if you needed them to pack and ship things. I mentioned Mercari now, but in some areas, I know in my area it's available, but in some areas they will actually, come pick your item up and deliver it to local customers as well. So it's an option you can pick when you first list the item if it's available in your area. So just to skim on through these, again, no printer needed. You can skip the label and just drop it off, but it just shows you what the QR code looks like, and you would actually see that on your order status page. So again, they want you to pack it up, bring it to the store, and then confirm your shipment, and it's that simple. Getting paid, everyone wants to know how to get paid once the item's delivered. Again, the customer has 3 days to inspect it and rate it. You got 3 days that pass by, Mercari's going to give you your 5-star rating, and they'll release the funds to you. After you do that, you want to make sure you go rate the buyer. You want everyone, just kind of keeps everything fair and equitable, so everyone knows kind of who they're dealing with, and then the funds are added to your balance. So you've got a balance over there that you can use either to buy more things on Mercari, or you can cash out simply by going to my account, your balance, and figuring out which amount you want to cash out and then how you want to get it. You're either going to go direct deposit. I only do that if it's over a certain amount. And then if you want it sent to you as a check. But again, keeping in mind that they do have the option to return things within those 3 days if they inspect it and it meets the criteria that I spoke about earlier. Once they have accepted it, then that's it. There's no more returns. Another thing that I love about Mercari, I don't have to worry about someone 28 days later, trying to return something. I've got 3 days to inspect it and accept it, and then it's final. Again, we talked about the reasons that they could be returned, but they're, it's not an all-inclusive list. They don't get to just change their mind. And somehow I got Poshmark in here, but it's pretty much the same. They provide the label to the buyer, and then they will refund it if, they do approve the return. Item doesn't fit, change your mind. That's not a good enough reason. And then they actually have time to cancel the purchase. I believe that's not with this app. So I rushed through those last few slides because I did not realize just how much I had to say about Mercari. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We offer so many guides about so many platforms, but this is one of my favorite. And so as a part of eCom Sellers, we've got our own set of amazing bonuses. And so we've got the complimentary mastery courses that we've been doing for over a year now. You'll get Shopify, you'll get Walmart, you'll get the bundles course. My business partner, Nicole Whitlock, she does an amazing job with that bundles course. And I promise you, it doesn't matter what platform you're selling on, you're going to be able to get some real golden nuggets just by going through those courses. We offer those, and they are mastery courses. They are extensive. Most of them are 12 to 14 weeks of training that we give to our customers that actually choose to go through those courses. So as a bonus to you guys, just for buying the All Access Pass, you'll get access to all of our mastery courses. And so that in and of itself is a reason for you to go and buy your All Access Pass. Do it now, do it quick, and make sure if you haven't, that you send the link, ecomsellersummit.com, over to some friends that you know of that either are selling online and need this great information or aren't selling online and need to be. So again, we thank you so much for coming. We thank you for being here. We've got a number of products that we use to educate people about e-commerce, and our academy is a great way, for you to go over and get additional regular, consistent training and have an opportunity to ask questions and get them answered by one of us personally. You also get coaching. There's so many benefits just to being a member, but at eCom Sellers, we always like to tell you that your success is important to us. So we hope that with eCom Seller Summit that you found over the course of yesterday and in this first course of today, that you got some really good information and that you are going to want to continue your relationship with us over here at eCom Sellers.